Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have a special guest, Scott, based in United States. Scott, can you please introduce yourself?
How you doing? My name's Scott Springer from Shellwood Consulting Group.
Okay. Hi, Scott. So why you decide to become an entrepreneur?
You know what? I've always had the entrepreneur bug from even before I got into working in businesses. I spent a lot of years working in businesses, had a couple small side businesses, and then started my own consulting company 3 years ago.
But then, Scott, this entrepreneurial, I think that we all as entrepreneurs, we always have something within ourselves that say, well, when I have a chance, I'm going to do something amazing. But where do you think that this inspiration, regardless that it was within you, do you have any source of inspiration? Your parents were entrepreneurs, any friend, you read in a book. So what happened?
You know what? My parents were not. My parents kind of worked all the time. My grandfather had his own business.
Same like me. Same like me. My grandfather was an immigrant from Spain. He arrived to Cuba, and he's the only one that had business. But my parent was employee. They were teachers, actually. Same case, right?
My grandfather was an immigrant from Slovakia, came through Ellis Island in New York and started a butcher shop in New York and ran it for his whole life until he, passed away.
Well, I bet that he should be very proud of you, yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
So then what happened when you decided that, okay, I'm gonna open my own company? What was the reaction with your parents or with your peers? Did everybody support you, or some people were telling you, "Oh my God, I think that Scott went crazy"?
Oh, no. Most of them, I would say vast majority of them are like, it's about time.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Because when I was working in companies, it was like I was always headhunted to go to, recruiters would always call me, headhunters would call me, go to another plant, fix this plant needs help. And in between each one, I was always like planning to start a business. And all of a sudden I get a call and it's like, well, it's hard to turn down that much money to go, move and, turn around a plant. Because I actually like turning places around. I like making them run better. I like making them do that exponential growth or even linear growth. But then on the last one, it was, we doubled every year for 5 years. I was at Vital Proteins. And at the end of it, we sold to Nestle. I stuck around for another year. And Nestle's a great company, as, everybody knows. But it's different. It's not entrepreneurial, like, being in a small company. And so I started my own consulting company.
But Scott, corporate, they make you really, really comfortable. They make sure that they pay you a good salary, that you have holidays, that you can have an amazing car, a big house. They make you really, really comfortable. Why do you gonna live all this comfortable life and start your own business, which is something that is very risky thing to do?
It's comfortable, but then that's also a fault. Like entrepreneurs don't like to be comfortable. Right?
Yeah.
You want to be growing something. You want to be creating, building, designing. You don't want to just sit there and do a 9-to-5 job, going to work for 8 hours and, take a long time to do it. You want to have a little bit of that, not too much stress, but enough stress to make it exciting, and being an entrepreneur is exciting. Going to work 9 to 5 is not very exciting.
Yeah.
Most jobs. Some jobs are, but not all of them,
Then we happen that, Scott, in the corporate, what we find out is that, sometimes they make you really comfortable, they pay you very good money, but one day they might show up and tell you, we don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
And then you have, you have a specific skill because you have been working in company in a specific skills. And then when you become an entrepreneur, it's completely different ballgame because you have to develop skills in so many areas.
Yes.
And sometimes it's like we call it the false trap of corporate, right? They make you really comfortable, they pay you good money, but they want you to specialize in something specific, and they want you to
Yep.
do this specific task all your life.
Yeah.
And
People
then when they
become,
don't need you, they will get rid of you. And then what happened with the Scott, right?
yeah. So yeah, people become a subject matter expert in a given area, and so they're very
Absolutely.
good. They become very good at that area. The longer they're with the company, they get better in that given area. Whatever that area is, it could be accounting. You become an accounting expert, right? So you end up
Be a
being a
manager,
consultant.
you can even be in the C position level, but at
Yeah,
the
you
end
could
of
be
the
like a chief
day,
accounting officer for a big company, but you really don't know marketing. You don't know manufacturing. You don't know, the other legal. You don't know the other. You know a little bit, but not a whole lot because that you focused on accounting. And then when you're an entrepreneur, you got to be a jack of all trades. You got to
yes,
know quite a
absolutely.
bit. You either got to know quite a bit about a lot of things, or you got to learn it fast, or find people who are experts in the areas that maybe you don't want to work on.
Definitely,
Or
you're not gonna get bored if you become an entrepreneur, right?
oh no, not at all.
Anything but bored.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Scott, in your opinion, what is more risky? To keep doing your corporate job despite that you get very good pay, and one day you can get lucky and you never uh, and they never uh, have the necessity to get rid of you, and then you live for your comfortable life with a retirement, or to get some experience in corporate, but at the end of the day go and design your own journey and your own path. They both you're taking risks in both. So which one do you think that is more risky, to keep your corporate or to start your own business when you have experience?
Well, it's kind of like the stock market. The smaller the company, the higher the risk, right? And so whenever you're starting your own company, it's a higher risk than staying in a job. It just naturally is. But it doesn't mean you don't do it. It doesn't mean, and if you fail once, it doesn't matter. Usually, like I saw someone told me a stat, it's like people got to start like 10 companies to have a very successful one.
No,
When I was at Vital Proteins, the owner sold it for, a lot of money to Nestle, right? It wasn't his first company. It was like his fourth or something like that,
absolutely.
bunch of different companies. Um, Shellwood Consulting is like my third company that I've owned, that I've incorporated over the years. I might have, I'll probably have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 before I retire.
Of course.
Just because one company is unsuccessful, yeah, you
Yeah,
know,
tell me about it.
yeah,
If I tell you all the companies that have failed and all the mistakes that have done, you will start to cry here. I will depress you.
yeah.
So we're not gonna go
It,
there.
if you're playing football and take a shot at the goalie and the goalie stops it, right? Do you never take a shot at the goal again? No.
Yeah.
Like no one's 100% on everything, right?
At the end of the day, it's developing the skill. A lot of people are asking, "Oh, Scott Harry, oh, you're great entrepreneurs. You only can do that." But I think that what we have to share with entrepreneurs here, that everyone can be an entrepreneur. It's about developing skill. It's like
Yeah.
driving or
Knowing the processes
swimming.
and the skills. Yep.
The more you practice, the better you become.
Yes.
It's not like a talent base. For example, I have a cousin that is an artist. He's painting for a lot of money. Okay, he have a certain talent to do these paintings, or maybe it could be a singer that have
Yeah.
an amazing talent to sing. But when it comes to us entrepreneur, it's not such a thing as talent, right?
Right.
I haven't met any multimillionaire that haven't told me, Harry, I failed so many times, and it's never straightforward like everybody thinks. And because at the end, what we're doing is developing a skill. We are failing, coming back, thinking how can we repackage, what type of company we can open, and
Yep.
things like that. And in that process, you're developing a skill. Some people take uh, longer than the others, but at the end of the day, everybody can ride the bicycle. If that makes sense?
Absolutely. So I always think like there's three things to be successful in life, right? You got to have some sort of intelligence, and most people, are above average intelligence. Half the people in the world are above average intelligence, right? The other half are below average, right? That's just the way it
Yeah,
is. So you
exactly.
got the above average or starting businesses or running businesses. You need to have some sort of training, education, or, as you're calling it, skills. You got to learn that. You could do it by reading books. You could take classes. You can go get a degree in college. You can go to a trade school. Whatever it is, you need to learn more than you were taught in school. And then even after you get like a degree, that means the only thing a degree tells you is that you're capable of learning. And you got to continue
Absolutely.
learning every single year, and keep building your skills year over year over year over year. And then the last thing, and that's really the one, is like you got to have that drive. You got to have that work ethic, that drive to achieve, to be somewhat competitive. You know, a lot of times people who played sports do better in business because they like the competition. You know, it's almost it's like a
Absolutely.
game. You
And
know, it's like
they have
have fun.
discipline also, correct?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have
And you can be
discipline, they
sportsman about
listen
it.
to
You
the
know.
coach, a lot of elements for people that play sports, because at the end of the day, they have a coach and they listen to the coach and they train.
Yep.
Again, they're developing the skill.
Yeah, exactly. You have business coaches, you got, executive coaching, whatever it is. There's ways to develop those skills and then, have that drive.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us about this first business that you opened, because this one is always this one that you don't remember, even if you didn't make any money. The thing is, so what was your first business, and what was the process that you thought, I can make some money?
Oh, it's kind
Please
of,
let us know if it works or not.
yeah, it's like a long time ago, I was getting my MBA in school and my daughters were young and we're going to throw a birthday party for my daughter. I think she was like 3 or 4 or something like that. My oldest daughter was going to be 3 or 4. Now she's like 25. So it was like 20 years ago, right? I'm getting my MBA. I'm a few years into my MBA. I was taking a part-time while working. I had my strategy classes, had my financial classes, had all the core courses done. And we're going to rent a jumper, which is like a bounce house. Those
Yeah.
inflatable things, those bounce houses that the kids go in, and we're going to rent one. And so my wife's home. She was a stay-at-home mom at the time, and she calls, and I go to work and I go to school and I come back. I was like, "So, did you find one for the birthday?" She's like, "No." And I was like, "Okay, we'll keep trying, right?" And come back the next day, and she's like, "Man, everybody I talked to was so rude." I'm like, "Really?" I was like, "You would think they'd be like, that's a customer service type thing. It's like, you think they would be nice." She's like, "Everybody's like, they wouldn't help me out. They were me." I'm like, "Everyone." There wasn't one person. She's like, "No, everybody was a jerk to me." Right? So I'm like, okay. And then they said, "Here, just go to our website." And on the website, they also sold jumpers, in different places around. They rented them and they sold them. And so she told me what they did. They told me it's like we were renting them at that time for $70 for the day. And you can buy one for $2,100 at that time. Okay. And that was kind of a higher price. You could buy them, found
Oh,
out later. Right?
a lot
And I
of
was like,
places that
okay.
you
And
have
I'm
to
like, yeah,
make that money back. Huh?
that's not a bad business. $70 rented, enough times a year, you get a decent return. And she's like, yeah, and they say they rent it 1.5 times every weekend. And I'm like,
Oh.
that can't be right. She's like, I went to 3 different sites. They all said the same thing. When you're in good weather and can rent it year round, it's 1.5 times every weekend. So you rent it like every Saturday and then half of them on Sunday and during the week. You get many during the week, but you get a few during the week, like nursery schools and stuff like that.
Wow.
And so I crunched the numbers. I was like, that can't be, I mean, it pays itself off in 6 months, right? Or less than 6 months, 5 months. I'm like, there's no way. And so, go and was thinking a couple days and I'm like, you want to start a business? Get a few of these, right? And so we decided to like let's jump in, let's try it. And so we ordered 3 of them, right? For the 3. We just
Wow.
jumped in, like, let's order 3.
I mean,
Right?
you want one for your daughter full time.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah,
But
so,
I
okay,
figured
at least
like,
my daughter gonna keep one forever, and let's see what happens with the other 2. Yeah.
well, we wanted 3 different styles.
Oh,
And
okay, I
like
understand.
I could set up 3 easily one morning, right?
Mhm.
It takes like took about 30 minutes to set it up. It didn't take long. And I got down where I could do it in like 15 to 20 minutes at one point, later on. So we get the 3, and Memorial Day, which is end of May, the weekend before my daughter's birthday party, comes up, and it's a 3-day weekend. And we didn't have any ad. We had one little ad in a little newspaper, like this big,
Wow.
that we put in 2 weeks before Memorial Day. We didn't even have the jumpers yet. We weren't get the jumpers till the week before Memorial Day.
Wow.
We put it in 2 weeks early. That first week, which was 2 weeks before we even had them, people were calling to rent them that weekend. And my wife, we decided ahead of time. I was like, well, what do I tell them? I just tell them we're booked. We didn't even have jumpers yet, right? We're like, we're full, right? And then we started taking orders for Memorial Day, and we had 3 jumpers, and that weekend we rented them out 5 times.
Wow.
The weekend of my daughter's birthday, excluding setting it up for my daughter, we rented it out 4 times. So there you go, 9 times over 2 weekends and 3 jumpers. It was 1.5 times for the 2 weeks. We're like, whoa, this worked. And the next couple of weeks, it was 1.5 times, 1.5 times on average, you know. And so we started buying more and more jumpers.
More, you bought more jumpers?
I kept buying more and more. And, you know, I was buying probably a few every month. I bought slides. I bought water slides. I flew to, I had a guy working for me full time at one point. His father retired to Argentina, calls his son up. He's like, hey, there's a jumper company down here that makes jumpers. I flew to Buenos Aires for a week, and I talked to this company with the father translating, because I didn't speak Spanish. I don't speak Spanish, right?
Yeah, I do.
Had you help me, right? But it's his father's translating for me. They were great. He was absolute gentle. He was great. Took care of me. And I got to stay in his place, sleep on his couch. And I bought a container of jumpers from this place. Had it shipped to my house. And this is like my 3rd year in the business. Had a whole bunch of water slides. In the end, I had like 40 jumpers. And I had an army of high school kids that were coming to my house every Saturday, Sunday morning. They would be there at like 7 o'clock, and I'd be, you know, we would load up their pickup trucks, and they would go out. Every person, they would have different areas where they would go set up 4 jumpers, and, you know, and had the operations and efficiency down. We kept them clean. The customer service, my wife was great on the phone.
Excellent customer service, because you knew that was the pain point in that market, right?
Yep. Yeah, you know you're going to be successful when I'm a year into it, you know, and I had probably had about 9 jumpers at that point, you know, 8 or 9, something like that. And my competitors are calling my wife and just cursing her out on the phone because we're taking the business away from them, you know. And then we just kept expanding our areas. We kept, you know, buying more and more jumpers. And then I get a call to, you know, I finished my MBA, and I get a call to go do a job, and it's like, oh, you know, what do we do? And one of the guys who was working for me, like I said, I had an army of people that were setting them up. One of the guys that was working for me, his father bought the business from me, and then I went back into manufacturing.
Oh, wow.
I did it for 4 years. It was
brilliant. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. The one drawback of it was you're working every weekend and every holiday. That was the one drawback of that business, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and sometimes we become like this, like we become entrepreneurs by accident. We have a problem that we want to solve for ourselves. We don't find a solution, and we say, "Hey, let me try to solve the problem myself, because the solution out there I'm not happy with." And because you're trying to solve your problem now, that problem that you solve for yourself, you started to solve for other people, kind of by accident, and. And there you go. You have a product, people are paying for it. Now you're in business, and now you have to learn about accounting, about efficiency, about keep all these slight clean, about the customer service. So that was a fantastic journey, and you have in that process you have a taste like, wow, maybe like we're talking about. The journey of entrepreneurs. Yeah, my property business, the first one, we managed to sell over 5 million. They were amazing. It was great like that. But I remember I opened a restaurant, and I was running for a couple of years, and we lost over 200,000. And one of the things that had that business, I remember, is that had to be on the weekends, actually Monday to Sunday in that restaurant. So sometimes as an entrepreneur, you run a business, like you said, you have a lot of fun, you make it work, but sometimes you say, you know what, I know what I want, and I know what I don't want, and I know that I already have a skill, and I can come up with other business that actually give me more freedom. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you gotta find stuff you like to do.
But if you don't have the first business first, you won't be able to design the next one that is that will meet your goals. And sometimes we have let's think about these other entrepreneurs. I think that maybe the reason why they are that they were not doing a good customer service or things like this is because maybe they didn't have the marketing skills, or maybe something was missing there, and they start to accumulate this negative baggage, this negative um, uh, emotions that come when you run a business, and actually because they only have one or two rather than serve the competition. I think that they were rude to you because they knew that it doesn't matter if they're rude or not. People will keep calling because it was more offered than the demand. Is that correct?
Yeah, potentially. And also the other thing it could be, because I've seen this a few times, is people just get tired. They don't want to run their business anymore.
Because you said this is every weekend, so
Yeah, it's every
doing-
weekend. And they, like me at the time, I had a job during the week. So I was literally working 7 days a week for a while until I quit my job and ran my business full time,
Yeah.
you know. And it's like I used to love it when it rained on a Sunday
Because you
because
can rest.
I couldn't set a jumpers and I got to okay, call everybody up. Sorry, we can't deliver today, and go back to sleep.
So, but then, Scott, tell us about the taste when you sell the business. Is it worth it? What is the feeling?
In that case, I didn't sell it for a lot. I didn't make a whole lot of money. It was I was kind of like a break even. I was going to a different opportunity. But at the same time, you feel like you're losing something, because you built that. It's like your baby that, that I built. And I had plans. I had these plans to grow it more. I bought a frozen commercial margarita machine, and I would rent that out and go set it up at parties. And people had to bring their own alcohol, but I would give them the mix, and it made 5 gallons of frozen margaritas or 5 gallons.
With the hot, it's amazing, yeah.
And the one thing I did when I sold the business, I kept that margarita machine, and I still have it in my backyard today. It's been running for 20 years.
Wow, that was a very good margarita machine. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got it next to my pool right now, and we make frozen lemonades in the summertime.
So Scott, then you went to corporate, and so when was that moment that you decided I have enough of corporate and I'm going back on the game? And
you know what? It was
like every work, and this time I'm gonna work in the weekend. What happened?
Every job transition, I was looking to start my own business, right? And so, I'd go to
So you were not comfortable with the corporate, despite that the big effort that corporate do to pay you good money, to give you holidays.
Yeah, exactly. It's just,
what happened? You were so comfortable that you became uncomfortable with that?
no, you know what? I just like to improve things and grow the business, right?
In a 360 way, whether in the corporate you only will be allocated to a specific.
Yeah, so right? I was always moved to plants to turn plants around. So that was always fun. I would go to a plant. It was stressful.
That's a lot of fun.
And I would take a plant and I would make the plant run better. Some of them I got to world-class level because I was there long enough. And then I'm like, okay, now go to this plant and now go to this plant. And I did that 6 times, right? Mm. And every time they'd move, I'm like, do I go to the next plant or do I start my own business? And, and it's always
I make a plan for myself. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had kids, and so I got to worry about the kids and taking care of the family and stuff. And so the job security with the family versus the risk. And it's always deciding. And then finally, the last one, I was working at Vital Proteins, and, relatively small company, not under $1 million. They were at 35 million the first year I was there. And we doubled every year.
Wow.
The last year we got it to 500 million revenue a year. And so we sold it to Nestle, and Nestle took over, at 250 million. And then I was there for another year. We got it to 500 million. And then I left and started my own consulting company. And it's okay, I'm done. I'm not working. If a corporation, I'm open to working for big companies, but it better be worth my time, because it's, it better be worth it.
And having a consultant company is brilliant, because as a consultant, you can adjust the time that you really want to do those consultancy. And as a consultant, you have more flexibility, and you can run the business that way. So, Scott, this why do you think that are the biggest challenges being yourself in that process that I'm in corporate, but I always want to have my own business, and then you took the decision. So what message do you have out there for the people that are in corporate that they feel like you, but they never take that decision because they are afraid? Or
I
because
would,
they have your same situation. They have kids, they have the house.
yeah,
It's too much risk for them. So what message do you have for these people?
I would say, start small. You don't have to like necessarily quit your job
Absolutely.
and do it full time, and then
Kind
start
of start
from,
your part-time business on the weekend, right?
yeah, start small. Yeah, like I did the part-time
Yeah.
business on the weekend.
Uh,
You can be a part owner with somebody else, which is there's risk associated with that. You can have if you're married or have a significant other, you can have one of you do it full time, one of you do it part time, while the other one works full time to provide for the family.
mhm.
So you can always start small. You can, sometimes take baby steps, but sometimes, you got to jump right in. The other thing I would say is in the United States, and I'm sure it's the same in Europe, right? There are billions of dollars in private equity that are interested in buying businesses, but they don't want to run the businesses necessarily. So you can partner with private equity firms, and there's thousands of them and billions of dollars. And in the United States alone, I think there's like 15,000 companies a year where people are retiring and they're selling their business. They don't want to shut their business down. They want their business to go on, but no one else in the family wants to take it over,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So you can work with private equity, um, partner with them. They provide all the money, and you go from full-time job to full-time CEO of a company like overnight.
That's
And you can
amazing.
run a company like fairly large companies. If you have the experience to do it, they will partner with you and, work with you for the money. You might have to put up some money, but they will do most of it. You can get loans. It's definitely doable on any size business.
Yeah. And then it's got because at the end of the day, like for example, I remember when I started my first business, I was in London when I arrived, my English was not good. So I was one of the job my job was as a room service in the Hilton. And I remember I was doing the room service in the Hilton at the same time on the weekends. And after I finished my job, I was building my property company until
Yeah,
one day I realized that I was making in one day the same money that's the same that I was making in the Hilton in the whole month.
yeah,
And I realized that well, I don't think I need to come to work anymore. And that was the day that I left that job 17 years ago and never looked back. So at the end of the day, the sometimes that decision, yeah, and the message that we have is this one because people have kids, people have family, have responsibility. Probably could be a very risky move to quit everything and start your first business, especially if it's the first one.
yep,
But there is no risk, Scott, to do it on the side, and start small and start to learn the skill. A lot of people come to me and ask me, Harry, this network marketing, and I'm telling them, guys, I love this network marketing thing because regardless that even if you sell the product or not, or even if you make money or not, at the end of the day, by being in that environment, you are developing skill, leadership skills, and you're learning how to sell and you're learning how to grow your team. And these are skills that they are priceless when you are an entrepreneur. And
exactly.
and this is more valuable than actually
Yeah,
the money that you're gonna make in the network marketing. So I have a very positive view about this because it's allowing people to open the door. There is not so much risk, and at least they can start to develop the skill, and until they can go in a full time. So I would say for the people in corporate, that start something small, not too big, something like like exactly you did, Scott, a problem that you have that you thought that was not safe in the market, and even not doing it for the money, do it for get you into the environment and start to develop a skill. So then when the good
Yep.
opportunity comes and the good idea come for the business, now you're prepared because you at least have a basic knowledge of the
Yeah.
360 skills that you need, and you will know what are your strengths, what are your weakness, and you can plan better. Correct?
Yeah. And there's a couple things. It's like you can start small, but there's a couple things you got to learn and you got to be good at before you start your business. You got to know what you need to do to start the business, whether it's licenses,
Mm-hmm.
setting up your accounting systems, whatever it is. The
Your
other
market.
thing you have to be good at, no matter what business you're in, you have to be good at this, is you have to learn how to do sales.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what business you're in, you don't have to be the best salesperson, but you have to be able to do sales. You have to learn some marketing, because marketing drives sales. You have to learn that ahead of time. And, it's like, so if you want to start a business, read some books on how to start a business or take some classes, read some books on how to do sales, how to get customers, take some courses, watch webinars, whatever it is, in your industry, because you're not going to grow your business without sales. Every business is, you have to be good. Need someone with sales. Someone told me this is like the best partnerships, like in a business, is you got somebody who's the subject matter area and the expert, and the other partner is the business development person, right? Someone who's really good at developing that business, the sales, and then the other person does all the work,
Mhm.
but it's like you need that 1-2 punch for a
Yeah.
business to be successful.
Okay, so that very good that you touched to this point, because then, Scott, what message do you have for people out there that they say, "Well, I don't care about sales. Sales is this is no. I'm going to put all my energy, my money, and my resources into the product, and because my product is gonna be amazing, people will buy it."
Then you got to find a salesperson. Because
Otherwise, it's not gonna work, right?
it's not going to work. I mean, there have been
It doesn't
thousands of
matter if there is
inventors
thousands of amazing products that they dead.
that went
Listen,
nowhere because,
absolutely.
you got to be able to sell the product.
Or
Whatever
find a
it is,
partner
even
that can sell
service,
it.
you got to be able to sell the service. You got to be able to sell your product. You got to be able to sell, you at a restaurant, you have to be able to know
Yeah,
how to get customers into the restaurant and how to treat them properly. It doesn't matter what the business is. You got that sales and customer service side of it. You need to learn how to do that well.
yeah. So Scott,
Or
what are
find someone who can.
the so Scott, what are the 5 steps to make your first million?
I would say the first thing you got to do is you got to have a vision on where you want the business, what the business is going to be. In other words, like you starting it out, we're going to be a million. What are we going to look like when we're a million? Who's our customers? What's our product? What are we going to specialize in? Have that focus, that vision of where you're going to be. The next thing is like when you have like every business has core values. Sometimes they're written down, sometimes they're not. It's like who you are, right? So the vision is like, what are you going to be? The core values is who you're going to be, right? And then make sure you follow those core values. It can't just be window dressing, right? Because as you hire people, as you get employees, got to make sure they're following those core values and that they're representing the company, because your company becomes the brand. The core values builds that brand of what the company is, right? And then when you get to that, most companies, it takes a while. You get to the million, you're going to be having people working for you at some point. There's a few people who can do it, but most people can't do $1 million on their own. They need employees, right? And you got to take care of your people, you
Mhm.
know, and
Agree.
almost guarantee, a lot of people blame the people for their business woes. 95% of the time, it's not the people. It's usually the processes. Focus on the processes, get in good people. Sometimes you got to let people go, but bring in good people. You take care of them, they'll take care of you. They will help you grow your
Absolutely.
business. Make it like a family. I always try to create like a family type environment, right? And then probably the last one is, well, the fourth one is you got to have a plan, right? You can't just sit there and it's like it's not going to materialize out of nowhere. Like if you're starting from scratch, okay, what do we have to do to get to 100,000? What do we have to do to get to 250,000? What do we have to do to get to 500,000? What do we have to do to get to 1 million? Know what you need to do to grow the business to 1 million and start to execute that plan. And then finally, as you're approaching 1 million, know what you got to do to get to 2 million. So many companies, they hit their goal
Yes.
and then they fall. They
Yeah.
collapse because it's like they didn't set themselves up for future success. They got to the million and then they stopped.
And you need completely different new people with
And then,
different new skills. It's like when you hit the first million, it's like you started a new business again.
yeah. And I'll give you an example. Like when I was at Vital Proteins, I took over and, they had good processes in place, but they were good for like a $35 million company, or I would say a $20 million company. Right. And so it got them to like 20 million. We limped to 35 million and I come in. And so we were a year behind. Our processes were not designed for a 35 million company that was doubling every year. And so we had to we spent the first year, it was a complete revamp of almost every process in supply chain.
Everything had to be changed.
And then we didn't set it up to get to 70 million. We were designing processes to get us to 500 million.
Wow, that's impressive.
So after the first year, it was like I tell people, it was harder to go from 35 million to 70 million than to go from 70 to 500 because
you have to change all the processes, correct?
We had to change all the processes and we were setting them up for that exponential growth to 500 million. So once we after the first year going from 70 to 150 to 250 and that was it was a lot easier because we had the processes in place at that point.
Yeah. Scott, I want to enhance something which is based in your experience. I think that when you started that first business, you were sharing with me that everybody was rude to you, and that's why you decided to your wife, yeah. And you decided to start this business on the side, but you had that very clear that regardless you're renting this, you're gonna have a good customer service because you knew that the competition out there, you already have the feedback that was not good. And we have this very common issue that we notice with entrepreneurs, that they spend all the money, resources in marketing and a lot of money trying to bring new strangers to the business, whether the actual client that is paying, that buying, that you have the relationship, they don't get treated well, and they're more interested in the new person. They're more interested in bringing strangers that improve and enhance and nurture the relationship with the people that are actually buying. Because I'm almost sure that you bought so many jumpers because you were treating these people that a lot of referral came to it. That's why you were buying like crazy those machines, because by treating them well, everybody in the community say, hey, there are these guys, I don't know if the jumpers are good or not, but at least they say hello, they treat you well, they give you the stuff clean, they collect it, they tell you good money, and you should go with my guy. And that's why you guys got overflow in that. So that lesson that you learn out of this early business, did you apply in your whole life, corporate and in your consultancy at the moment?
Yeah, actually I do, because one of the first companies I worked for was Coca-Cola. And I learned when I was back in the day, there's like 3 ways a company can focus to grow. You can be low cost, you can be innovative, or you can have the high customer service. And most of the first few big companies I worked for, which were very successful, even though they weren't innovative, even though they focused on the cost, they were high customer service. Right? And sometimes they failed in the areas, and you can see, don't do it this way, do it that way. And so the most successful companies, when you look at some of the most successful companies, they are very high customer service.
I agree with you.
There's
Look
a
at
few
Amazon.
that are innovative.
Look at Amazon.
Yeah, that's all customer service.
Exactly. Most of the people know about Amazon, and when I ask them, how you find out about this, a lot of people say, I think a friend told me.
Yeah.
Because when you get a good customer service and you have good experience, you tell your friends. You know how much your marketing costs? Zero.
Well,
how much it costs to bring a stranger to your business? A lot.
I hear people complain about Amazon, and the first thing I tell them is go ahead, do it better than them. If you can do it better than them, you can be that rich and that big too. but
Yeah.
not many people do it better than them. Walmart is known for low cost, right? Well, Walmart's a store here.
Yeah, I'm aware, yeah.
And, and they put other stores out of business. Let's say Kmart was one that's very famous that they just destroyed, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I was a plant manager, and there was a Kmart and a Walmart, and there was a Kmart right across the street. So a lot of times we go to Kmart to get stuff. So here's an example. So you got Kmart, right? I go in there and I'm just going to buy a wall clock for the conference room.
Mm-hmm.
And I go in there and I look at their wall clocks, and they had like 3, and like they had 3 others, but they didn't even have any on the shelf. Right. And the 3 that were there, I didn't like. I was like, let me drive up the street to Walmart. And so Walmart was a little farther to drive. I'm like, let me go check it out. So I go to the Walmart and I walk in, and now Walmart's low price, right? But when I looked on the shelf, they had about 20 different clocks, where Kmart had about 6.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was stocked, so that I didn't have to I had my choice I had a choice of 20 different clocks, all the same price. It's the low cost price. But the customer service of making sure the shelves are stocked, that you have the product there, it's easy to go in and out, easy to check in, check
the
out.
experience of the customer. I think the customer have good experience.
Yeah.
This is very important to take business to a next level, and a lot of people out there don't put so much energy and effort on that in the people that actually are buying.
A friend of mine has a podcast called the Customer Experience Podcast, and he interviews people.
Yeah. That's a great title. Ted Harry said that this is an amazing title. An amazing
But it's have some empathy. Put yourself in the customer's shoes on what they're thinking. Even when I was in big businesses and we're selling to big companies, you still have someone that you're interacting with. It's like, what is that person thinking right now when we're doing this?
Yeah.
You think it's favorable or unfavorable?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if it's unfavorable, we got to change what we're doing.
Yeah.
We have competition. Everybody has competition.
Yeah.
And if you don't take care of your customers, somebody will.
Absolutely.
Right?
So, Scott, if somebody listening to this podcast and they like what you share with us, and they want to take the business to the next level, and they need a consultant, a coach, a mentor, someone with the experience to help them out to get to the next level, maybe they want to go to 500 million. I think that the best way, if you want to get your company to 500 million, is to work with someone that have been in the company that have done this process, that have achieved this result. So how they can find you? How can you help them? How the process work?
Well, I got my website, shellwoodgroup.com, or email me at scott@shellwoodgroup.com. I got several consultants I work with. They all have over 20 years of experience. They work on different projects. They have different specialties. And then, depending on where you need help, we'll figure out who can help you the best. And, we'll take it from there.
Thank you so much, Scott, for the interview. Have been amazing, and a lot of value content. And for all of you following in our social media and listening in Apple and Spotify, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneur like Scott break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.